Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo, and in this episode we are going to be taking a look at Colab. We're going to look at this from a solo perspective. I'm going to show you how it plays with a couple turns from solo, and then I'm going to give you my opinion and impressions on the game. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And if you have, I really do appreciate that support. Thank you very much. Now this game is a very interesting, well, it's highly tactical. It's very variable in the way you set it up and the way it plays out. And it's got a little bit of everything. It's got some worker placement. It's got some dice rolling. It's got some resource gathering. It has, I would say, sort of like a tableau engine, slight engine building. It's not really engine. It's more like card combo. The only reason it could be considered an engine is because some of these cards can activate and make things better. But that would be the weakest part of it, I would say. And then it has an expanding board, which you're going to be adding on to, making these spaces more beneficial to you. This game can be played with multiple solo opponents, but you can play it and feel very good with just one, I would say. Although it can be played with multiple opponents. There are 3 different difficulty levels for the solo game: easy, medium, and hard. And I found the easy fairly easy to win, but the medium and hard a lot more challenging. Anyway, regardless, let me show you a little bit about what's going on. All right, now the basic crux of this game is you're trying to build 12 inventions, okay, or devices or whatever, and these things come in all different types of cards. Well, I should say 3 types of cards with all different types of abilities. They're red cards, blue cards, and purple cards, and they represent, I think it's like potions and inventions and monsters or something like that, but it doesn't really matter. And what the cards will do for you is they'll either be a mixture of these cards that you can flip, these little, whatever you want to call them, switches on them, not whatever you want to call them, switches, and that will give you a one-time ability, and then you can flip it again by building cards next to them, or using other things that will let you flip your switches, like this power right here. Or they will be potion cards right here, where if you've gathered up a certain number of potions, you can discard them and take the action on the card. Or they'll be sort of like random spatial things or other things. For instance, this card here says +2 points for each adjacent other card that you have here. So you can build orthogonally adjacent to it and make this card score more. All the cards require you to pay some amount of resources, and you either pay them by moving your scientist, in this case I'm green, next to resources that are in the towers next to the lab you're working in, and use those as communal non-spent resources, but it's kind of like a present resource you can tap into. Or you can spend these wild tokens, you can spend these types of resources, which would count as any purple or any blue or any red, and they give you this nice little tray, at least in the deluxe, to hold all your stuff. Or you can spend the dice properly, just spend them like resources out there. And that's what you're doing to build cards. And in order to build cards, you have to move to a lab that lets you build, with this little build symbol, the type of card you're trying to build. And you can't build cards if you don't have the right resources and if you don't have the icon that matches the card. Like I said, you can also upgrade the board as you go. So it starts in the solo game with 2 of these little slots filled, but you can see here I've upgraded all the level 1s and the level 2 and the level 3 in this one. So this space has a ton of different options that I can take. And the options might be activated by minions present, doesn't matter which color, or they might be build actions for your scientist, which allows you to build cards. So there is a ton of spatial options to be dealt with on this board, and that is the crux of your turn. You are trying to build 12 cards before your opponent builds 9. If your opponent builds 9, you get one more chance to build your 12th, and if that's the case, then you look at your score and see if you've accomplished the score necessary to win. If you don't build 12 after that last turn, you automatically lose once they built that 9th card, and you have failed to achieve 12 on that final last chance. You also will fail if all of these slots are taken up by pieces, and that means they could be these explosion tokens, frozen tokens, or other minions. And if you can't move anywhere, you have no open spots, you immediately lose. Now there are ways to repair those. There's a couple of ways. The kind of automatic way is every time you go to a rest turn, you get to repair one for free. But you can also spend resources and other things to do the repairs with your scientists being next to them, or you can spend research tokens, which are these little scrolls, to research them anywhere, repair them anywhere on the board. And so that is a function. These things are a function only of the solo game. All right. Now, the way that the solo player will work is they will draw tiles out of this bag. The tiles will do something very limited in scope, and then they will count as check marks. And the check marks you're trying to amass, well, he's trying to amass, to be able to flip over these cards. And as he amasses 3 check marks here, he'll flip over a card, and then he will activate whatever's in the card and every orthogonally adjacent card next to where you play it, depending on what it is. And each card has a spot where it goes, okay? Now, the best thing I think at this point for me to do would be to show you a couple of turns, just so you get the feel of what I'm talking about here, okay? And then we'll go ahead and discuss it. So it is my turn right now, and since I have no minions in my area over here, I have to remove one from the board, and then I take either of these bottom tower actions that I want from the tower that I removed it. So what do I do? Well, I gotta think. What do I need to bring back for the standpoint of the action I want to take here? But if I bring it off there, then I'm removing a minion from that spot, and I may want that spot as a communal resource. For instance, I've got a lot of cards that need the 2 gear over here in red. So if I remove that, well, that's kind of silly, because then that means I don't have free resources for this one, this one, and this one. However, I can only build those cards if I have a spot next to these resources. Well, in this case, it would be here or here, and I can't build this type of card next to it because this requires a potion, which is over here, and that's not adjacent to that. So you can see that there's a lot of potential AP stuff going on in this game for sure, especially until you get your head around all the implications of what you're trying to do. And I'm going to tell you, it took me, that first game was kind of a brain buster for me because there was so much to consider and think about. It had me kind of shutting down. So it took me some additional time with the game to really understand, how to make some decent turns happen. All right, but anyway, let's go ahead and do that. Let's take this one off here. I discard this die, and then I'm going to take one of these 2 actions. I can either get a potion token and a red card, or I can get a wild purple, okay? Now, I want more potion tokens here because I want to use this, so I will take the potion token. And I could either, at the end of my turn, I'm either going to have to store it in one of these slots, and I only have 4 slots, only one of which on your little player board. It's really a storage thing. You can only hold over 4 things. Only one of them could be the potion, all right? But I can also put the potion on the card that I want to activate up to the amount of tokens on that card. So I'm going to put that there, okay? And then the other thing was I'm going to get a red card. Okay, so let me grab a red card. This red card is the freeze ray. So basically I would spend 2 of the different red resources, 2 each, and then I would get this lever card, which lets me flip it. It gives me 3 points, and then I would gain 1 of those colored wild, so to speak, resources. Okay, so I have gained that card. Now, I have to then move my scientists, and where do I want to put them? The place I put them will determine which actions I have available to me. So, in the case of what I'm dealing with right now, I really need some more purple dice. However, I don't have a lot of minions necessary to get more purple dice. There's only 1 minion on the board over here. So I really can't take that action very well. So I have to work on transferring my minions into sections, which will help me do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them over here. And I have 2 minions, and I'm going to take 2 purple resources, okay? And actually, now that I think about it, yeah, that'll be fine. Can I build anything with what I've got? So this is a 2, a 1. Yeah, see, what would be really good. So here's the thing. You can either take minion actions or you can take build actions. You can't do both. And so you have to determine what you're trying to do. Do you want to build up your dice pool and your resources, or do you want to take time to build cards? And because you can build multiple cards at once, if you can find a way to make stronger turns, it's usually a better thing. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab 2 of those wild purples. See, this is a tough card to build, and I think I'm working too hard on it. Forget what I just said. I'm going to grab a red die, okay? And then when you grab a red die, because I have 2 minions here present, I can get this. That will go in my pool, and I'll be able to use it later. My turn is now done, okay? Now we grab one of these tiles out from the opponent. We look at it, and it says, okay, he's going to move 1 space closer to me counterclockwise. Counterclockwise. And since it's a power token, he boosts his special power up, and everybody has something special and unique there's 4 different opponents you can play in the game. They have special unique powers. They have special unique things that happen to them. There's also 4 different machines that you can have them build, or devices, what do you want to say? And they are randomly done. It's not like one guy uses one thing. You mix and mash however you want. All right, so that's it for his turn. Very simple. Draw this out. Do what's on the action. Flip it over. That is one of the 3 check marks to flip his stuff. Now we go back to me. All right, so I want to accomplish what I was saying. I want to try to put some stuff into this area to make it better so that I can get more resources here and here. So I'm going to take this. This is a 2 blue potion. And I'm going to put the 2 blue potion over here. And then I'm going to take that purple right here. And that's the reason being is because I'm setting myself up to kind of come over here, which I'll show you right now. All right, so let's take that purple. Then I'm going to move my scientist over here, and I'm going to use both minions for this action right here, which lets me go ahead and do, actually, no, I take that back. I'm going to use both minions for this action right here that gives me 3 potions. And then this card says I can spend 3 potions to copy the effect of, well, that doesn't really help me, does it? Because that's a wash. It doesn't matter, I just want the purple. Okay, so I'm going to take the purple die. There we go, kind of building that engine up. All right, now we go to him. What's he going to do? He is going to move, roll a white die and move the minion to the tower with that symbol. So let's see what we've got here. We're going to roll this. He wants to move a minion to the tower with the lightning bolt symbol right here. He's going to move the one closest to him. And when he does that, he picks it up, he rolls the dice, and then in this case, it is a wild die, but he can't move there because there is no spot. So he's going to have to put it back, and he's going to advance his special power 1. And I guess he wouldn't have even rolled that because he wasn't able to do that part of the action. So this would just stay as this because that tower is full. And now when he advances this, he adds a power token to the bag, and then he draws one out, but he doesn't execute it, and he just draws out a criteria token. Okay, so he just does this. Now, what that does is, that resets, by the way, that then means that he has his 3 check marks. We flip this over, and it says, draw and resolve another token from the enemy bag. Okay, but he's going to put this here, which means we're also going to have to do those as well. So let's draw and resolve another token from the enemy bag. All right, it's a power token, so I have to move this up. It is a move 1, so he's going to move his scientist 1. And then I have to do this, which says roll a white die and add damage to a tower, an empty space. So we're going to add damage to the brain 1. Okay, and empty space in the brain 1 is right there. And then roll a die and add a damage token to 2 empty spaces in the matching tower. So this guy is much harder to deal with than the other one that I played before, which simply just kind of tried to build his thing a little bit quicker. At least I think it feels like he's harder. Okay, 2 to the lightning bolt red tower, which is this one. So I have to work on repairing these. So I can demonstrate how that works now too. Okay, so it is now my turn. And you see, he only has to build 1, 2, 3, 4 more cards. Well, I got to build 8 more cards. I'm kind of running a little behind here. So like I said, it's definitely more difficult on the medium than it is on the easy. Okay, so what do I want to do? Well, I would like to try to build the freeze ray, if at all possible, because I just talked about how to do that. And I'll show you why I'm going to do that here. So let's do this. Let's move this. Oh, shoot. I just put it down and I didn't even use it. Well, tough cookies. All right, so I'm going to remove this. I'm going to put this in play. I'm going to put this one into a spot that's going to help me. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to get the 2 potions. 1, 2. Again, these don't need to be stored just yet. I'm just going to put them over here, but I am going to keep one over there. Then I'm going to move my scientist to a location, where I can build this type of card, which I'm already there, so I have to go someplace else. You can't stay in the same spot, so I go here. I can go to that spot, no problem. If he moves onto my spot, he adds another power token to the bag. Okay, so I went there. Now I'm going to build this card right here, and this card is the freeze ray with a switch. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to put it next to this. And the reason I can build it is that this is 2 red wrenches and 2 red gears. So this is essentially a free card for me to build. I immediately get to activate it when it's built. So I gain 1 wild resource, or I should say wooden resource, so to speak. And we're going to gain this one. And then, since I built it next to this other one, I can flip him, and I can get one of those scroll tokens, the research tokens. Let's see if I get this out of here. We're going to be using that in a second. I have 2 of them. And then let's see, so I did both of those. Now, I can build a second card because of he can build 2 cards in that spot of that match. So how do I do it? Well, I've already spent those. So do I have enough to build? Well, I have enough to build just barely. So I have 2 wild cards. This can be used as my 2 red. I have a wrench. I have this, and I have this. So by coughing all that up, I can find a way to build the Isaac. Put that in here. So once you gain dice, for the most part, you keep them. There are some ways you can lose them, but for the most part, you keep them. Okay, now I'm going to put the Isaac next to, let's see, this card, just so I can flip him. This game is quite the table hog. Okay, so the Isaac will flip. I gain a card. I want to gain one of these cards. And then it will also flip this down. Add a potion to each adjacent card with a potion. So I can add one over here. Then I've got potions. I can spend these 3 potions to copy the effects of one of the spots in a lab from where I'm occupied. So that means I can do that to get a blue die right there. So that's a pretty darn powerful turn. Okay, and I should have gotten 3 and 2. That's 5 more points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means we're going to do an upgrade here. All right. Now I'm going to put this over here to store it. And so to do the upgrade, first I have to add a power token to his bag. Then he's going to activate his special power, which means he's going to add 1 power token to his bag and get a criteria token out of his bag, making his stuff go faster. Then what I do is I gain a wild resource, which is what this is. This is anything, including a potion. And then I get to add 2 upgrades to the board. So what I want to do is I want to add one of these upgrades over here. This is a level 2. This helps me build more cards, making this spot a little more flexible. And then I want to add one of these level 1s to try to help build up some of these other spots. And these spots have a lot of guys near them and next to them. So maybe what I'll do is I will put it over here in anticipation of some other stuff. So that's also a pretty important and crucial decision to make, because even though the board state changes with these minions, they take a while to change. So you have things going on, and playing into that is a big deal. All right, so we've done that, we've placed that. Now we've done the upgrade. My turn is effectively over. Now on my turn, if I wanted to, I could have spent 2 resources matching the tower of the damage. I could have spent 2 of these little blue leaf resources to fix this, but I didn't have those. Or I can spend 3 of these research tokens to fix one anywhere I want, or at the end of a rest turn, which I'm going to show you in a second, I can remove one from the board. All right, so these all get reset, by the way, so they can be used again. All right, and now let's draw another one out. Okay, he's going to move 1 space. Well, he's already where I am, so that means he gets to advance on the special power track because he couldn't really do it. Now he plays another card. In this case, it is this card. Oh boy. All players discard 1 card and 1 token. That's unfortunate, so I have to discard this wild and a card. I'm just giving up on this. It's too hard to build. The heck with it. Okay, and then I have to roll the white die and add damage to 2 different spots. 1 here and 1 there. So this is getting a little dire. So I have to add damage to my electrical spot there. So that's full. Can't go there anymore. And damage to the spot right here. Now, it did say, if I remember correctly, if you try to add those and they can't be added, then nothing happens. So for instance, if it's not an empty spot, then you don't add one, okay? But I'm really tightening up. So if I want to have any hope of winning this, I've got to deal with that problem. So it's now my turn. You can see I have no more dice to add. I could still take 1 more turn by removing a minion and doing the whole thing again. But given my situation, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, take a rest turn. So what I do is I gain any combination of different things. And I want to gain 2 wooden tokens to help me build some of these cards because I got to build soon or I'm going to lose. Let's take 2 of the, I've got a lot of red out there. Let's take a blue and a purple. Okay, and then you take all the dice, you roll them. Now they're available and there's a lot of resources available, so it can escalate pretty quickly, which is good. And then I get to repair 1 of my spots that's damaged. I think I'm just going to repair this one over here, opening that spot back up. And that's my turn. Right, when I did this, I forgot I was supposed to discard the 3 cards, the 3 that it took. So you get the feeling now, it'll be his turn. We'll take 1 more turn and then we'll wrap it up. You get the feeling of how this game plays, I think. So here, he is going to go to the tower matching this symbol here. Let's try that again. Oh, and since he drew this, he does advance there. This was a blue potion one. He can move to the blue potion tower that's over here. So he is going to roll this die. And it adds another power token to his bag. And I just said we have to deal with this, so we have to deal with this right now. So we add a power token to the bag. And then we get out a criteria token and do not activate it, but it does count as a check box, which means we're going to have this. So now we have this to deal with and more problems. Yes, this guy is much more difficult than the other opponents that I've tried so far. Okay, so here we go. We're going to add a damage to the potion spot right there, and I have to discard 1 card and 1 token. I guess at this point, really doesn't matter. And 1 card. Yikes. Okay. All right. So basically, I lose the game when he builds these last 2 if I don't start building really fast, which is probably not going to happen, but that's okay. I think you've got a good understanding and idea of what's going on with this game in regards to how it flows, how it plays. I hope I didn't make any mistakes, because it's hard to sometimes narrate and talk and not make mistakes here, but I think I did everything right. When I placed my minions and took them off, I activated the board. I did, yeah, I think I'm pretty good. I don't think I covered this one other spot here. You can trade these research tokens in for an exchange to get points from this area, which sometimes is very helpful. And when you do that, it's either 3 for 4 points, 2 for 2, 1 for 1, 2 for a card, 2 for a potion, or 2 for any 1 wild token. And you can only do that exchange once per turn, and you can do as many as you want, but they have to be different. And then when you've done at least 9 or 10 of them, then you flip this over. That can help you advance and get to your scores, what you're looking for as well there. So either way, let me tell you what I think about this. Okay, so like I mentioned to you before, Colab is a very tactical and very spatial, puzzle-y type of game to deal with. This game is going to crush you if you struggle with AP, I think. It's going to be very difficult for those players who are trying to juggle, like, what is the best thing to do. It's definitely a game that rewards efficient and sophisticated, like, planning and everything else, because even though things are moving around, you can string together, you can kind of make some stuff happen. And so it's not completely tactical in the fact that, like, well, I can't plan for future turns because everything changes in the board. Well, not really. The board creeps. And that's something I like. I like the fact that you can lay down and you have to pick up, but you can kind of set yourself up for the building of certain cards in very efficient ways if you can manage to pack it all in. And I think that's what's interesting about this game. If you can manage to pack it all in and focus on certain spaces with what's out there, with the way your dice roll, with the way you upgrade and build the board, you can do some really cool things and make some really strong moves and be very competitive. And I think that's one of the major strengths of this game, is that it's not so much just card combos, although card combos can come into play a little bit. It's like multi-turn setups and combinations of things that you could put together to be very efficient. I think what's really clever about this game is the communal die and die location aspect from where they are on the resources and the boards. I think that's really cool. I think it's interesting how you can plant yourself some resources out there and keep them as long as you want, but still spend dice and get things moving. And the game has kind of a curve like this. It really does, because as you're taking dice in the beginning, it seems like there's a lot of turns going on where not too much is happening. You build one card, maybe 2 cards, whatever. But then in the last third of the game, it really ramps up, because now you have a lot of stuff in your pool. And if you've been buying a lot of dice, those dice could roll 2 resources at the same time, so of the same type, so they could really be strong. And you could put yourself in a spot where you can plant your scientists in a place with lots of resources, affixed to the right types of cards you want to build, and then, spend those things and build 2 or 3 cards all at once. And that is what the charm of this game is. If you like that kind of multi-step, multi-turn building in your brain of what you want to do, it's really going to pay off in spades in this kind of game. If you want a game where you are developing an engine, I'm not sure, like I said, that the engine side is really strong in this game, comparatively speaking to what I said. It's more like a put it all together and then strike on an engine. It's not really a permanent thing. It's more of a combo of all that you're doing to try to get the job done, and I think that's really cool. The cards, they vary in type. They're interesting. They've got a lot. There's a ton of cards in this game. There's a lot of duplicates. You can build duplicates, so not every card is different. But you kind of get an idea of the type of card you're going to get based on the 3 decks. So it's not just complete random top decking. Depending on the type of card you choose, you'll kind of know what you're in for. Again, a game that definitely rewards repeat plays and experience. This one's good. If you are looking for a game where you're not going to have AP issues, this is bad. I don't think you want to play this game at all if you struggle with AP and you don't like it. If you have AP but you're playing solo, who cares? Just sit there and take your time and enjoy it. I like the fact that there are 4 different opponents. I like the fact that they build 4 different types of machines. In this case, the fact that I got the scientist with the doomsday machine that blows things up, and he also has dice that blow the board up, that was a tough combination. And so definitely, depending on the machines they built and the scientists, that they can be easier or harder. And clearly, that's a way you can mix and match to make it really tough. So there's even though you have the easy, medium, and hard, you do have ways to further develop a challenge for yourself, which I think is cool. So definitely good design. Some semi-unique things. I'd say, while all these things seem to have been done in some places, shape, or form, this game puts it together in a combination that feels new and unique and enjoyable for sure. So I'm enjoying this one. I think it's got a lot of solo distance that I can play it with. And I wasn't too sure as I started because it was so hard to wrap my mind around what am I doing and all these different things. It was kind of, I felt after the first game, I felt a little underwhelmed, but I felt much better after I started to get it and it started to click and it started to be smoother, because I think one of the strengths is the AI's turn is usually pretty brief, and you need that to be brief because you don't want to forget about all the things you're doing. I mean, for pity's sake, you don't have to take notes, but you need to keep in mind what you're doing. It's like, okay, I take his turn, now I get back to what I'm doing, and that's really important, I think. So, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate your support and help, and I hope it's helped you understand if this game is for you or if it's something that you want to pass on. Regardless, you know what I always say, whatever you do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.